Quiet on set. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast with your host, Benji Weatherly. It's the podcast where you learn absolutely nothing.
Looking for a new way to elevate your look? Let's Poddy's newest sponsor, Ponto Footwear, makes the perfect addition to your wardrobe. Their Pacific Dress sneaker is responsibly made with recycled materials. And with its water-resistant and slip-resistant design, you'll be ready for anything. Use our code PODDY15 for 15% off on your order at pontofootwear.com. It does have to be. Well, this guy sings for a living, so he knows that the mic has to be close.
Hey now.
We used to have him like over here, like,
Oh my God.
and you would hear pop, 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 pop.
People are like, hey, how was it? I can't even hear it. You're like, what?
And we were all focused on like the visual. So we're
Yeah.
like, we got the visual. And then the guys are like, I don't listen. I just, what is happening?
Yeah. Most of it's audio. And you're like, wait.
Everyone 90. What do you think? 90% people do audio? Yeah. We're like,
You're
putting
gonna
all
start,
this work.
You're going to start doing this at your restaurant?
Yeah, I'll have a
You
studio.
should do live. Well, you should do it live at the restaurant on that stage.
Oh, that too. Yeah, like Joe
let's,
did at
Let's
the...
Poddy at lunch.
And dude, that's a good call because then you can have an audience.
It'd be
It'd be
fucking
fun.
rad. And take
People are
some
eating
audience
burritos,
questions.
watching Tony Hawk make shit jokes and stuff.
It'd be pretty rad.
Actually, that's a good call.
Should I manage you, or I mean, how are we? 10%.
Oh, she's got it recording.
Okay.
Slide.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good call. That's what you should do. And then your sponsors could like serve alcohol at this bar. You make more money.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I don't have a liquor license yet, and that's starting to really get me nervous.
That's the only way restaurants stay alive.
I know, and that's why I like risking everything for no
What
reason.
are you? What is
It's
the
crazy.
food?
Should I get my little blue cooler that I brought?
No, save
Okay,
it for the
save it
fucking
for there.
stand-up thing. What kind of food?
Hawaiian, 80%, and then 20% mainland, little kind of healthy vibe. You're going to love it. It's going to have smoothies,
20%
coffee.
healthy, so Rob goes there.
He needs 25 to get there. He likes air and
Is there any
walnuts.
parking for the fucking Sprinter?
There's so much parking. That's why I got
vans?
it. Dude, the
Sprinter van
Sprinter
parking?
van, Coachella, of Asahi's, everything. It's
Wait, how are you going to get a liquor
You're gonna love
license?
this. You're going to love this. I went to Lucas Nelson the other night, and two girls that came to all my comedy shows. They're like surfer girls and stuff. Super sweet girls. And I see them there, and they're like, hey. And they're like, you going to do comedy again? And I'm like, yeah, actually, belly up again. They're like, sick. And the girls started repeating all my jokes, how they progressed, because it really was. It was the BLM, Bike Lives Matter was one of my jokes. My roommate, Brad, down by the Dried River. Did you ever hear that joke? Oh no. And
Wait, you did them at the Belly Up now?
yeah, no, I did them. I kept going. I did the First Street Bar and Grill was really good. I did the Army thing. What's the one called where the older guys drink?
The Lions Club or something.
It's like that, but it's called
It's the Elks Lodge.
basically Elks Lodge right in Encinitas. It's
my
called
God.
Legion. The Legion. And that was my favorite one. It was like 100 people, but it was
They
tight.
stoked, old codgers.
Because I was like, yeah, riding a normal bike around here is like having like riding a payphone. Like the obvious, like how ridiculously old school it is to have a normal bike and not have to use your feet.
Holy shit.
But yeah, they were telling me all the jokes and the progression. I was stoked that people actually remember jokes instead of just me being an ass. All right, is it playing?
Wow, man.
All right, welcome to Let's Poddy with maybe the closest thing to the movie Step Brothers.
Oh my God.
I fancy myself as Will Ferrell, but he's better looking, so we'll go either way.
We are stepbrothers.
And that opening, I guess, speech, or what would you call it?
That's an opening song. I
Opening song.
That's we call that a little sizzle off the top. You needed one. You came over to the house and you're like, I'm starting a podcast. I'm like, dude, I have this song. It's an instrumental. And then you heard it and you're all, oh. Then you're all, what about a voiceover?
One of our plans, this is the cool thing about that song, is we're about to do the Drive Thru again. And he goes, dude, we're going to get in velvet suits like Ron Burgundy and his boys. And we're going to play it. And if I want to play that song again, but we'll play it when we open. And it was all, and me and him were going to get out in suits with our surfboards and go into the news station. It was going to be so funny. His brain is as weird as mine. So together, it forms one thought that becomes freaking lore. All right. And then our guest, obviously, we're talking to is Donavon Frankenreiter. Probably one of the hardest last names to spell as a friend.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think I've ever spelled it right, but it never mattered. You know? And can you give us a live version of the opening of Let's Poddy? I'll try to do Chewbacca, and the other one's like, oh. Here we go. And he came up with this, by the way.
I mean, can I pull up the song?
Oh, yeah. You have to have the background song. Sorry.
I mean, because it's kind of weird. Just like, I don't know if I can acapella that.
No, I could go.
No. What? Ladies and gentlemen, please. How does it go?
No, you got it.
What did I say?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast. Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No.
Under pressure, you got
really hard to do it. Hold on.
Let's Poddy podcast with Benji, and then you say, okay.
Welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast with Benji Weatherly. This is a podcast. I can't do it.
Oh no!
What a bummer.
What are you talking about? Want me to do it?
No, how did I get that voice before?
Welcome to Let's Poddy with Benji Weatherly. Where you a podcast you learn absolutely nothing.
Let's play the original.
No, the original's going to play no matter what. I know, so anyway,
cue it up.
It starts with it. So we're after that already. We've already had it happen, right? And now we're talking about you doing it, and you're failing at all costs. And it's because he's Jack Johnson on all the coffee.
I didn't prepare. Sorry.
No, but that's the beauty of silliness, especially our silliness, is it's you catch it in the beginning, and it never comes back the same.
I call that a one-take wonder.
That's basically our life. Yeah. Our life is about being filmed on these silly-ass road trips for 15 years or whatever we did. And you would film it, and then if someone said, hey, do that again, you'd be like, I don't even know what I did.
Yeah, you'd forget.
So, yeah, I would say that the opening was better that we recorded, which we needed. So we'll go back at the very end. We're gonna go over our notes and see if he remembers.
What a spot here, man, that you found a podcast in.
Yeah, these people don't even know we use their house.
Who lives here?
It's beautiful in this neighborhood. Every week we find a new house that's empty.
This is like the Brady Bunch moved out and you fucking got it. It's pretty classic. You can't really tell anybody where we are either.
No. The best is everyone that comes here, all my guests, they always get here and they're like, I don't know if this is right, but I'm in a neighborhood down in the middle of nowhere.
Pick the farthest place away.
Yes, we can swim to Catalina right here.
We're basically right here.
So everybody, this is, really one of my favorite human beings in the world. My girlfriend always laughs because every time he calls, I put on speaker.
Oh no!
And she goes, You're not like that with too many people. Only a couple people, but
we get excited when we're around each other.
Instantly, just ridiculous.
We always call each other with fucking crazy ideas.
Energy. It's the energy that makes me laugh so hard. Because she'll see me go from like having a bad day to, wah! And then like I hang up and I'm like, let's go. But yeah, he's always towed me in, especially when we started the Drive Thru in the beginning. He was the guy. And then the first season I came in for one day and I looked in the van and I was like, God, it smells like feet. And I didn't know if I wanted a part of that because I was a prima donna at the time. Not like I'm still not, but... And then the next one was in Japan, and I got invited, and it was Donnie, Barney, Rob, and I.
Yeah.
And we just hit it off, and literally we were always friends. He'd come to Hawaii and stay at my house, and we'd always mess around. And then we had Billabong ties, so we'd always go on bus trips together and do stuff. But those things really kindled like what became our friendship, and it was the best way possible because neither one of us, at the end of the day, were bad travel partners. We made everyone else like, oh, hey, just relax. Like, we're not going anywhere. Chill out. And we're good. That was like our kind of, I guess you could say that was our gift, was you would hang out with someone. I'm not going to name names because it sounds bad, but they would be so grumpy with like neck pillows and like, oh, I can't believe we got a layover. What the F is going on? And we're like, well, where else are we going, dude? We're filming a movie. Yeah. We could film it in this airport for 14 days. It's still going to be a drive-thru.
Those were so funny because me and you kind of realized like, we're going to get the best and the worst out of these people. And it was just fun for us because we were just like, we'd catch a couple waves and the rest of it was like, how are we going to get to the next spot? And then, I don't know, me and you always kind of knew like, who are we going to fuck with? And like, how bad or how good is it going to get? And it was cool. It was like the making of a surf movie, and it was, and while we were doing it, we didn't really know really what we were doing. And then they started coming out and it was like, okay, where are we going to next? What are we doing next? And it was exciting. It was fun. Me and you always got to be together, and then we'd kind of, we would sort of introduce other surfers and other people and other guests. And it was, Potter in South Africa. Aki was on a bunch of them. And Andy, before he passed away, was in West Oz with us. And we've always just had,
All-star
it was really, really crazy, wild trips. Shane Dorian, Pat O'Connell, like it was some great times.
Yeah, it was really cool in the fact that Donovan is, I don't even know what ADD is. I really don't. I just know that he has it or whatever, and so do I. And it means like perfect for what we need to do because we can't stay in one place for too long. Yeah. Like I didn't realize how good you were at that until we did this latest one last year. And these young kids and everyone are like, "What are we doing today?" And Donnie's like, "Okay, let me see. I know everyone in every town." He's like, we're gonna go hang gliding naked and with a goat hanging from our dills and all this stuff. And all the kids are like, are we going to do that in one day? And we're like, yeah, you wait till you hear what we're doing tomorrow. It was just your brain goes and goes. But I think over time, so I can't wait to hear more of you, but sorry, is having me and you we're so old now and we've met so many people because we're personable that every town we'd go, we'd be like, hey, I know the Metallica guys. Yeah, I'll get us on stage. Yeah. You're like, hey, I know this guy owns boats in this river. It'd be sick. And then like the kids are like, I've never even been here. Yeah. But now it's like I'll pay it back for, I think, especially you, because let's just tell the people out there that don't know, you go 200 and something days a year for the past 15 years, right?
I think for the last 20 years, we're on the road for sure 7 months a year, 6 months a year playing music. It's been, it's been wild, like the music industry, because when I first started was with Jack Johnson. He signed me to his record label and he put me on tour for 2 years with him, and he produced the first record. And that was the first time in music when I was like, wow, this is like a time where it might work. I could do this for a living. Because when I was surfing and wanted to be a pro surfer, I never really knew what it meant. And then it happened and it occurred. And you don't really know what's to come until you're in it. And then so because I never started singing and writing songs until I was like 29 when I met Petra, my wife. And then it was just a wild time. It's been a wild ride in the music industry because when I got in it, it was sort of like still happening. And then every year I put out a record, it started getting worse as far as record sales. And they're like, oh, it must be your music. And I'd be like, no, I mean, I don't think it's all my music. I'm still
selling out venues.
People are still coming to the shows, but then all of a sudden that record company's gone, that A&R person's gone. And it started to be like, holy shit, the industry. I mean, somebody came to me and said, I remember, I think I was on the Jack tour. They're like, hey, go do me a favor and buy an iPod and bring it back to me. And I'll put like 10,000 songs on it. I'm all, what? Like, and he did it. And he's all, it's the end of the industry. Tower Records will be gone in a year. And I was thinking, this fucking guy's crazy. There's no way Tower Records is going to go out of business. And sure enough, it was the wildest thing. And so that's why, I don't know, for me, I was like so happy to get my foot in the door and like at least be able to play live shows all over the world. But, that's kind of how you make a living now in the music industry, really. You got to go out.
Especially you, because you go to the almost same places every year. Like the Belly Up, for instance, in San Diego. You have such a cult following that. Yeah. Is it twice a year you go there?
Twice a year, like in the summer, and then at the end of the year, like around New Year's. And then, it's so great to be able to go through Europe and down to Brazil, one of my favorite places to go, and go touring. We're playing Fuji Rock in Japan in end of July. That's going to be amazing. And yeah, it's just been fun. It's really crazy because like when we were doing the surf thing, it was like surfing took me to places I was like never thought I'd go, like Iceland and places in Chile and wherever we went. And then now music is like so wild because it takes me to places I really thought I'd never go because I'd only go on places I'd wanted to go and surf. And then so now it's like, I know it's been really fun to be able to go play music in these spots and then stay for an extra week or whatever and surf and bring the family. And it's been a wild.
What's your favorite place? Because we never talk about your music ever when we're together. What's the favorite place to go on when your tour of US every year? Is it like, what's the really cool place? Nashville? Is that a really good spot for your music?
Like Nashville's fun. Anywhere we go and Florida's great. Like, the West Coast is good, middle of America. We have some great shows in New Jersey and up like in Montauk and Amagansett and, anywhere. I just feel grateful I'm able to like get a venue, book it, be able to like play. It still trips me out that we play in a spot and people come to see. They pay money to come see us play. It's so weird to me, that concept.
That is,
never
right?
sunk.
And they're twice a year too, like the Belly Up. The same people probably buy tickets every time. Yeah. Like, let's go. And we got to talk about this cool venture. We got to talk to you too, maybe about going on with him on this tour. He's going for a Guinness book. Tell that story.
So I did this Allman Brothers revival tour. It's like this family. So Devin Allman is Greg Allman's son, and he does this family sort of revival every year. And he invites like 10 special guests, and we all do the songs of Greg Allman and the Allman Brothers. It's just incredible to be a part of. And I did it for a couple of years, and he called me the early part of maybe at the end of the year, or whatever, or early part of this year, and he said, "Hey, I got this crazy idea. You're 50 years old. I'm 50 years old. Let's go do this Guinness Book of World Records." I'm like, what is he talking about? What could be? And he's like, "We're going to do 50 shows in 50 states in under 50 days." And I'm like, what the fuck? I go, okay. And so I got all excited. And so we finished a 6-song EP, and we leave on, I think we leave, it's August 5th, and we go to September 22nd. And we called Guinness Book, and they gave us all these like sort of guidelines. And they said, it's going to cost at least 20 grand. And we're like, what? And like, if it doesn't happen, we get the money back. Like, no, you pay for the attempt. So we're like, now we're like, okay, we're like Evel Knievel. This fucking thing, it's on. But we've like, when I toured with the guys in my own group, we've done 30 shows in a row and 35 shows in a row. And it's like, it's fucking brutal. By like day 20, you're starting to go a little kind of crazy. And then, but I think, some of these guys we're going with, they've probably done 10, 12, 15 maybe in a row, maybe. So I think day 30, day 35 is going to be.
They've never been on a drive-through.
That's what it's going to be like.
It's going to be
two
drive-thrus.
Crazy. And we'll see. And I don't, we'll just see what happens, because we have to play Seattle, and then the next morning wake up and fly to Anchorage, and then fly to Oregon. And then when we're in Vegas, we play. The next day we wake up, fly to Honolulu, and then back. Those are the only 2 moments where it might get out of our control. Flight. Like if they're like, hey, flights are canceled, or we're in Alaska and something happens, like that'd be a bummer to be on day like 42.
You should have tried this during COVID.
No, one of the stipulations, there has to be 100 sold tickets at every gig. Like you can't you have to play in front of people. I mean, you can't just like go to a street corner in every fucking state.
Holy shit. That's kind of a big deal. Like a Monday in Wisconsin. Like there's 94. You're like, get someone out of the street.
No, it's called the See It All Tour. So it's like, we're going to go out all of August and September.
So, Annie, are you willing to produce and direct that whole thing and go for 50 days? No, excuse me. 50, yeah.
50 days.
You're going to go under 50.
Well, we have to do it in 49 because somebody did it. It's interesting. Some guy did it in 50 days, but I didn't really. I think he played acoustic, or I don't know. He didn't have a band, and it was like he did it in 50 days. And then, oddly
so you
enough,
have to break his record.
We have to do it in 49 to break it for Guinness Book. But in like a musical world record, George Thorogood did it like in the 80s, and he did. And I did some research on it, and he did 50 shows in 50 states, but it took him 3 months. And I was like, oh, fuck, we got that 3 months. But he did drive the entire tour himself in like a taxi cab. So, but it was the 80s. He was probably so fucking
stupid. Do you have enough time to chase around?
I think it'd be a fun thing to document.
Yeah, we were talking about that, a YouTube channel, maybe like post every weekly or something.
It would drive through, but music for
exactly.
50 days.
Yeah,
at least you wouldn't have to be going hang gliding and fucking bungee jumping and shit like that.
I never wanted to do any of that, and you made me on all those trips. That was so crazy.
Oh my God. I think the one, we did a bunch of crazy stuff on the drive through, but we did this one in Brazil where we jumped off a cliff with hang gliding. And I want to say we got down and you weren't going to do it.
I didn't want to do it.
And it was
Greg was
dark.
just like, dude, you've got to do it.
And he was on the beach when we landed, and me and Dorian and Kalani Rob were like, yeah, we were so pumped. We made it. Well, lived. And then Donovan's like, all right, screw it, I'm going. And the guy's like, it's getting dark and there's not enough wind. Well, and Donnie didn't know. He didn't hear that shit.
When you guys landed, I've never seen like three. This was before we went to Africa and did the bungee jump, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And so I never seen three people so jacked on adrenaline. And I was like,
so
whoa.
psyched.
I was like sitting there. You guys were having so much fun. And I'm like, I got to do it. But then I went up by myself. Like, three guys went up.
The video of you, it's pitch black and you're running off the same place we went up. I'm like, I wouldn't have gone that dark.
Craziest thing too, I try to tell people when they're like, what was it like? And it's like this, like whatever it is, like 50 feet of this wood plank that's like fucking screwed together, and then it's off the edge of a cliff. And the guy told me, hey, we're going to strap in together and we're going to run together. With no kite on top. I want to make sure you don't stop running. And I'm like, what's this for? He's like, oh, because if you stop and we tumble, we're dead. And I remember, I was like, what? And I remember the guy in front of me, he had to go first for a trial run, and he stopped. And they're like, you're out. Like, well, I'm not taking you. And like these guys, there's nobody up there like regulating. It's like, it's this guys in Brazil on a VW bug, and they get it out and they screw it together. It's like this, PVC pipe. And I'm like, what? The kite, and he's like,
100% right. It was just like a thing on the roof, and he unwound it. And
it was the wildest thing. And then I think a week later, I read in the paper when we were still in Brazil, they're like, tourist dies jumping off Rio fucking, hang gliding. I'm like, well, I knew it was dangerous.
That guy stopped running. Oh, man. That was just one of the million things that Greg Browning put us through.
Holy shit. That one, and then the bungee jump was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. The only thing we got out of that whole thing was a free acai bowl at the beach, remember? That made our teeth purple.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, good times, though. But How's this venture going? Having 2 children that are taller than you now.
Oh my God, Ozzy's 16. He's just amazing. He's been
Tell that he's just choking people, right?
yeah. Well, he's he's been doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu. He does a little bit of boxing and stuff. He's got some great trainers and some cool uncles he hangs out with in Hawaii.
Was Hendrix always kind of beating up on him?
No, well they were always been just brothers doing their thing. But Hendrix did it too. He went through the same thing with boxing but now he's just they were both surf junkies and they love free diving, and it's been interesting because it's always been one of those things where like I try to introduce both of them to everything that I've ever known, but then when I grew up, I realized when I was a dad, I look back and I went, fuck, I did the 2 things that I fell in love with that I started doing. Nobody in my family or even remotely relatives ever did it. Like nobody in my family ever surfed and nobody ever played music. So
Or
I was
you were
thinking,
into Harleys when I met you when you were like 17.
Yeah.
And what was your dad a Harley guy?
Nobody ever.
So that was all
So
you?
when I had the kids and I'd be like, why aren't they fucking wanting to play music more? I was thinking, oh, they're going to do something that I don't do.
Right.
So I thought they were going to be fucking computer programmers or who knows? I don't know what the fuck. But now Hendrix is like, and same with Ozzy, but mostly Hendrix is really into music, and I mean they've always been addicted to surfing and they just love it. And but he went into the studio. Hendrix did.
That's right.
Like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, Dad, I got this song, and he's never been in a studio before. And I remember the first time I was in a studio, I was so fucking scared. Singing into a mic, and you have the headset on, you're like, whoa, hello, like it's like you're like so isolated, and you're like, holy shit, like then you start thinking about like recording, and this is going to last forever, and you're like, wait, what? And then you always start to. But he went in there, and we were in there for 2 hours, and it was just kind of real stress free and cool. And he played all the instruments and sang and wrote all the lyrics, and I was like, oh man, it was a cool experience. And then he, I said, get 9 more songs, and then we'll make a record, and then come out and we'll do a tour and stuff. But we'll see what happens.
A little backstory on Hendrix. He was, how old was he on the Drive Thru? 18.
Yeah.
So he got to come with us. I'm going to say a year and a half ago. We did the Drive Thru, and the first time I got to hang out with him. I met him when he was little, and he was doing little Bruce Iron grab rails on a 1 foot wave and stuff. I've met him when he was little, but he's 6'4", 5".
He's got to be 6'5" now.
6'5", and he's 18 years old, handsome as hell. And I meet him, and at the beginning of it, Donovan was telling me, "Let's bring the Drive Thru back, and we'll bring our kids on it." And I go, "I don't have a kid." And I was like, I don't think people are going to want to see your kids.
Well, the idea, too, was to bring Rob Machado and all his kids and have you be the babysitter. So we could, that would have been the fun.
Oh, that actually is funny. But I was kind of like, I don't know, Donnie. It'd be embarrassing if he wasn't, a really good surfer, because, we have the best surfers in the world on the tour, and this and that. And then he comes on the trip, and he was MVP, surf better than everyone. I mean, Griff maybe obviously was a top dog, but just amazing surfer. And the reason why I bring up the music thing was last night, like me and Donnie were talking, and I go, hey, how's Hendrix doing with the music? Because he's a savant. This kid on our trip played guitar the whole time, and I was like, obviously he's a good guitarist because his dad. But then he got on drums. Okay, we're at this studio in Virginia, or sorry,
no, that was at New Smyrna, wasn't it?
New Smyrna. What is Florida? We're in Florida in a big studio, so beautiful. And he goes, Donnie's like, hey, I need someone on the drums. And he's like, all right. And then I need someone on the bass. He goes, all right. And then he goes, I need someone on the. And it was just like watching this kid. I was like, you're 18, you're doing giant airs, you've got insane style, you're handsome, and he plays every instrument. I was like, oh no, the next generation is so lethal. Anyway, so we get to the point of last night. I go, hey, has he been playing music? He goes, oh yeah. He came in the studio the first time ever.
I sent
2
you
days
that song
ago,
and I hung up. I said, "Call me back once you
and
hear
it's
it."
good. It's like 4 minutes,
We gotta
right?
play it right
it's
now.
pretty. I'm going to play it right now.
Can you play it for real over the thing?
I'm gonna go right here.
We'll do an edit and make it.
No, it'll sound amazing right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is Hendrix's first go in a studio. What is this? A month ago? How long?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And it starts out with Donovan getting him because he's really into like iration and like Sticky Fingers and all these rad reggae bands.
Like
whatever you call that genre. What is that? Reggae, surf.
Reggae, surf rock.
Okay.
Slightly Stupid. Like all those guys. He loves all that music. I mean, he loves everything. He loves a lot of hip hop and stuff, but I think his vibe and what he likes to sing to is a little more laid back and a little more like that vibe.
And so what I trip out on is when you hear one of your friends or your son or anybody, the first time you hear their voice, you're like, who what's happening. I don't know this person. Like Jack Johnson, the first time he sang, we were in France, and he was filming a surf, and he started playing, and he played, I think it was Rodeo Clowns or one of the first songs he made, and he started singing, and I'm like, that's coming out of my friend's mouth. Like, it sounds beautiful. I was like, what the fuck is happening? So that always freaks me out. So the first thing about this video making me laugh last night was when I pressed play. It's actually Bob Marley, as stoned as he's ever been, just so irie, like, I'm on la malala, and it's so dope. And I'm like, is that Hendrix's voice? And it freaked me out. I was like, he's so irie, you know? And then it goes into this even more like ridiculous voice that I eventually found out is Hendrix, and it's just insane.
Yeah, the singing is Hendrix, and then we just did something funny off the top. And
yeah, tell the beginning. It's like Bob Marley.
Yeah, it was just a little thing that we put at the top. As like
okay, so here we go. This is
like a demo.
That's what, you know what's cool about old music is they always have that intro of something crazy, you know? And like, here we go. So this is Hendrix debut on Let's Poddy. It's from Bob. Listen to this kid. It's insane. I get chills, dude. Last night, look at my chills. I got them last night too. It's so creepy. When you love someone so much and they do something amazing, it must be a trip, yeah? This is your baby boy right here.
You know, he never he never sat around the house and sang either. So it was the first time me hearing his voice, really singing, and I was like, whoa, right. Yeah. He's like super on this like really cool, beautiful, positive vibe. Like it's really neat. Trying to keep us in control. They only have the power if we let them. They got us tripping on things in life with no meaning.
It has so much of you in him too. I mean, obviously the guitar riffs sound just like you too. It's insane.
I said, hey, you guys should come and just do 2 songs in the middle of our set. And then they did. They did a Black Keys song, and I think they did a Black Sabbath song. But it was funny. The kids were at that age where they didn't really get stage fright. They were like, whatever, this is cool. And then I think through that tour, they started to get stage fright. And they were like, I don't know if I want to do this every night. A couple nights they didn't do it. And like, you know, it's like a weird feeling. Like I still get it every night. Like it's so strange. Like to get butterflies.
I did it. You told me that. So I'm going to transfer into. So Donovan, I went to New York City last March to do a comedy show for the first time ever. And I faked having COVID that day. I had made up a million excuses in my mind. I was like, I don't want to do it. Like, because the night before I saw Mark Norman and these professional comedians in the same place that I was supposed to do it the next night. And I thought it would help. Yeah. Oh my God, it didn't help. Because I realized how much I didn't know and I wasn't ready. And so the whole next day, I had my girlfriend flew in. And I remember before all my comedy things, I've done like 15 now, I always lie down in bed and try to fake nap for like 3 hours. I just sit there and I think about what I'm going to say, and I try to come out of all this anxiety. Anyway, the cool part about it was after I did the one in New York, I felt invincible, but I still hated it, you know? And then I get to California, and the first person that hits me up is Donnie, and he's like, hey, do you want to do the comedy at my sold out gig? And I call my buddies, that's a comic manager in New York, and I said, hey, dude, I got this gig, because he was managing me, and he goes, hey, I go, there's 750 people. And he goes, don't do it. He's like, do not do it. I'm telling you as a friend, do not do it. He goes, people are going to be in the back talking. And then he says, you're going to have a band before and after you. Don't do it. He's like, they're not even going to be a listen and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And I hung up and said, well, I'm doing it. Like, I have to. Because for one, I
thought about it when I asked you, because I remember the first day you called me, you were like, dude, I'm doing it. I go, well, you doing what? You're like, I got a comedy show in New York. I'm like, remember Petra got on the phone? She was like,
that's right.
Fucking yeah. Like we were so stoked that you were doing it. Yeah. And then you did a couple. And I remember we were playing the belly up. And then I remember when you said yes, that you would do it. And
that's right. I did it with you. So the first one was Rob Machado's Foundation. Yeah. And it was a week before or a couple weeks.
It was like the weekend. Well, it was like the night before.
Oh, no, it was 3 in a row.
Yeah,
so
3 in a row.
Comedy 3 nights in a row. So now I know. I went through hell that weekend. That was gnarly. But the first one, I started out good because it was it was just a good one. It was mellow and it wasn't scary. It was probably like 200 people or something.
Yeah.
And now when I
were
felt good.
They were seated and they kind of knew you were going to be there. And
they're all wined out and stuff.
But anyway, I thought that when you said yes, you were going to do the belly up, I hung up and I remember telling Petra, I go, oh shit, I go, this is fucking ballsy. Because I go, you know, it's not promoted like comedy night at the belly up. You know, it's like it's music. So to like literally come on and do a 5-minute, 8-minute skit of comedy in between rock and roll music is like fucking ball. I was like, holy shit. And you went in there. It was so funny. I got to tell people, first night was pretty good. It was like you pulled it off, and the next night.
No, the first night I bombed. It was the biggest bomb of my life, but I didn't drink. I didn't drink at all. I didn't have one shot, nothing.
So yeah, you're like, I'm going to stay sober. I'm going to crush it. And you got up there and you're like, oh, anyway. And like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. It's really funny.
No. But he saved me. He was behind the curtain like this because I was going to announce him after I went, and I literally blanked out because I bombed. I mean, it was the worst night I ever did. And I bombed, and I go, I'm brain farting. And everyone finally started laughing because I said brain fart. And I look back, and you're behind the curtain ready to run. You're like about to save me. So I remember looking back and going, oh, fuck, Donnie. All right, coming up, Donnie, whatever. And I just ran. I was like, I went home at 3 a.m. I'm drinking and I'm so angry. And I'm yelling in my living room. My girlfriend's asleep by now. I'm in my living room. I go, because I had to do it again the next night. I go, I just got to be myself. And I yell it at 3 a.m. And my girlfriend goes, that's right, honey. And then she goes back to bed. And I go, oh, shit. I just yelled that out loud. Anyway, the next day, she came. My mom flew in from Hawaii, all this stuff. I have a little cooler with beers. We went to Mexican food. I had tequila shots. And the next night, this is a sign of when you know you did like a little bit better. I always get a little bit better. And the next night, I came out with a mustache, had a guy with a trumpet. And then at the end, I was like 10 minutes in because I ended up doing 15. And I was 10 minutes in. I looked back to see if Donnie's behind the curtain to run out. You weren't there. And I was like, yes, because he knew I was okay, you know, and I just, that was a big success. So. And I had a jacket on. You were there. I had a jacket, and I was so nervous. I didn't take it off. So halfway through, I could feel water pouring down my legs and stuff. So when I took it off, people came back to hug me after. Like, you did it. And I'm like, what the hell? So if you want to know how scary doing stand-up in front of that many people that was there to listen to your music, it was scary. I mean, I'm doing it again next month.
We are. If anybody lives close, we'll be at the Belly Up on
16th, 17th.
16th and 17th. Yeah, there's 2 bands opening up, and then Benji's doing a comedy.
I know. I was thinking I'm going to maybe this is what I was thinking. You can tell me if it's okay. Do 5 minutes in the beginning, and then introduce the first band, and then come up for hopefully 10 or 8 or whatever, and then you come out.
Is that your manager's idea?
Well, I'm my manager now.
Horrible idea. You know that night you're going to do whatever feels right.
Yeah, I just figured
depends on how
just because it won't be loud and then me, it'll be me and then it'll be loud. You know what I mean? It don't matter.
Don't even overthink it.
I know. Either way, I'll be
There's no way you're coming on at fucking 8 o'clock, 7:30. You'll be.
I know. I'll be drinking at the bar.
Yeah, it'll be hilarious. You'll come on right before us and do a 5-minute fucking skit. It'll be insane.
Is that one of your favorite places? It should be, right? Belly Up is so amazing.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Like you play places a lot, and you become friends with the promoters, and then like just being in that area. You know, a good friend of ours, JK, lives down there, Jeff Kelly, and just Del Mar and that whole scene in Solana Beach has just been such a really supportive crowd, and I don't know, it feels really great to go into a place that you've been going to for a while. But you know, when I grew up and I was in like cover bands in high school, I remember playing the Belly Up, and I'd be like, wow, one day I might be able to do my own show here, or, you know, there's another spot.
Didn't you come to remember one of our Momentum movies, and Greg Browning did a fire extinguisher? We all had to leave.
My God.
There's video of it.
Holy shit.
The funny joke about that night is the first night I come up with my little Prius in the back of the gate at Belly Up if you're a performer or a VIP or whatever. They open a gate and you get to park in the back. And I get to the gate and I go, the best thing about this is my girlfriend was at the gate both nights in a row, and she's 2 nights in a row, the funniest jokes ever. I get to the gate and the guy goes, can I help you? And I go, I'm the comedian. And the guy goes, well, tell me a joke. And I go, how many assholes does it take to open this gate? And the guy went, oh, fuck. And he just rolled the gate open and was like, like that. And then the next night, we were all in, and now I was sober that night. I don't know how I could be funny because I'm never funny. And the second night we get there, my mom's in the car now, and we see it. Donovan runs out to the car. He's like, Barbara. Yeah, let me get this up a little bit. And he's like, because Donnie's known my mom since he was freaking 16 or something. And he goes... He comes up, he's like, Barbara, so good to see you, that. And she's like, oh my God, yay. And he runs back in, and I goes, Donnie makes that homeless thing look so good. And I couldn't believe that. She gave me my opening joke. I was she did it again. She's maybe the funniest woman in the world without even knowing it.
That's where you get it. That's where you get it from.
Dude, what else is going on in Donnie's world? Are you off tour right now?
Well, yeah, I am. But after this podcast we do, we're going to go to the Beach Life Festival.
That's right.
This is like a really fun thing I started with this guy Alan, and then Jim Lindbergh, who's the founding member of Pennywise.
You know, at Jim's beginning, where he was in this house doing his podcast. You know what he was a battle of the bands against.
What in the very
he was
beginning?
he was a cover Motley Crue band.
What?
He's in a Motley Crue cover band at the Battle of Bands.
Where's the footage?
I know. And he was going against Slash or some gnarly, it was like Slash's band, and they won or something. Yeah, he had a cool story. But just so you know that Jim was supposed to be coming on the podcast today too, but he's so busy, and this is why I tell you the story about this whole event.
After we get done here, we're going to go down there. This is like the 5th or 6th year of Beach Life, and it happens in May, and then in September is Beach Life Ranch, which is a little bit kind of...
Is it the same place?
Same exact location, same exact everything, and... yeah, we're going to leave here and go watch the Pixies, the Black Keys.
Modest Mouse.
Modest Mouse is playing.
And my favorite band of all time, Black Keys.
It's going to be amazing. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
Gwen Stefani. Is she in her own band now?
Yeah, she's like a huge pop star, yeah. She's like got like...
Right? No more No Doubt. It's done.
When she left No Doubt, I think she, like, her whole set will be like an hour and a half of like #1 hits. I mean,
yeah,
you don't realize,
so
but you'd be like, well, she's one of those artists you're like, she did this one?
Yeah,
she
exactly.
Did that one? She's like, oh, you know, it's like nonstop. And
Same
then
with
Sunday
Pink.
is John Fogerty and the Black Crows, which is going to be insane. And then when does this air?
So are we going Monday with
This
this?
will be Monday.
Monday morning.
I think I can maybe...
You can drop it like it's hot.
Well, I want to, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. But it doesn't matter.
Well, we got something
him
big
anyway.
next weekend.
But anyway, no, we could do it Monday. But so and then when the Beach Life comes out in September, headlining on Friday night is Jack Johnson.
Yeah, we can say that.
It's not released yet, but
right.
But I think they do it this weekend. But I mean, we'll find out.
We'll find out. If
we're not allowed,
if Jack gets mad, he can get mad at me.
I think everybody.
I think it'll be fine.
No, I think it's fine. I mean, they released it. I mean, I think today or something. But yeah, he's playing. The Bahamas are playing. Evett Brothers. That's just on Friday night. Got somebody else, but
are they 3 nights in September too?
Yeah, and it's been really amazing doing this with Jim and what they're doing down there at that whole location in Redondo is just.
What is it, like a football field or something?
No, it's like crazy. It's down where the harbor is, and
Redondo.
It's kind of like desolate, like it was just kind of like forgotten. It's in Redondo, right where the harbor is, and they've really rebuilt this up. And we're doing a restaurant, a California Surf Club, the festival 2 years. 2 times a year. But then throughout the rest of the year, next year you'll be able to have functions there. Like we'll have comedy shows. We'll have like tons of stuff because the surf club will be there with the restaurant. And it'll be a place we can go down and have.
I'm gonna ask Jim if I can go up before Black Keys do some comedy tonight.
Right?
Can you imagine?
You can do it Sunday before we play.
What, you're going to be on stage with Jimmy?
No, we're playing in his. He's got this cool little
acoustic
side
band
stage. Yeah, it's called the Speakeasy. Yeah. And so you kind of slide in there. But if you come up Tuesday,
have you heard his new album, the solo one? We haven't heard it yet, have we? He was talking about it. When we did his podcast, he told us about it. It wasn't done yet.
He played the other night with that band. I heard it was incredible. It's cool that he's doing the. He's got his own. It's sort of like a country, like kind of a hard-edged country thing. It's
like Shiflet was here, and he just started his country band, and they're killing it.
Oh, he is so good.
He's awesome.
We played the Coach House together, and
he's incredible.
He's amazing. You know.
His story's kind of cool. He was in a punk band before his whole thing too.
I asked him.
No use for a name.
How did you get that gig? How did you get Foo Fighters? He's like, I tried out. I'm like, what?
Yeah, his story's pretty rad. If you listen to the Poddy, he worked at NoFX, the guy Big Mike or whatever, Fat Mike. Yeah. Worked with him in somewhere in San Francisco, I think, for his company, and then his brother was in Face to Face, and then he got the call. He was in No Use for a Name, the punk band that we used to use in freaking Momentum and stuff. He was in that band, and then he got the call to try out. And he had to tell his band, like, dude, I got accepted to the freaking biggest band in the world.
Yeah, the biggest rock band ever. It's crazy that Dave was in the biggest rock band ever before that.
I know.
Playing drums. Now he's playing guitar and singing. Like, how did
he's unbelievable.
Do it twice.
Dude. Isn't his son really good? Oh, no, Taylor's son is blowing up on drums, right?
Dude, the footage I saw him was like
insane.
Unbelievable.
It's like Hendrix and you.
I wonder who is playing drums for the Foo Fighters.
I don't know. But it should be his son.
I'm going to see him in July. At the end of July, we're doing Fuji Rock, like I said, in Japan. If we play on the same day. That's another thing, like, you're asking about gigs and where I like to play. I love being a part of festivals. Because it's like a moment that, like, we're able to play and then go watch people play.
But, dude, can we talk about the festival tour that you're on in the very beginning of your career? So he was in a band when we were Billabong, rolling tight, traveling pro surfers. Vagabonds. What?
Sunchild.
Sunchild. Why do I say Vagabonds? That was the name of your shoe.
Yeah.
Sunchild was the name of his band, and
we were like
you weren't writing songs then, or just covers?
I wasn't singing. I was playing rhythm guitar, and we were like, it was like a glorified cover band, and we had a few of our own songs, but we were really like Southern rock. Loved, Marshall Tucker, the Allman Brothers, and then we ended up like opening for a lot of those acts, but doing some of our own songs because a lot of times I'd be off tour, not surfing, and we'd be playing like these little fucking country bars, and you have to do 3 sets a night. And if you tried to slide in some of your own songs, people would be like,
"What the?
Are you fucking kidding me?" And then like you'd go into like Brown Eyed Girl, and the place would go nuts. And you'd be like, so like we got stuck playing these covers, and then like, and then for some reason we got to a level with this band where like Kevin Lyman called me, and he's like, "Hey, we're doing the Warped Tour '96, like it was '96 Warped Tour," and he's like, "We're gonna have a tent, it's like a chill zone." And we thought it'd be cool if we put like a surf band in there. I've never been a part of a tour. I didn't even know how they worked. I didn't even know really what it meant, but I was doing local gigs and playing fucking pizza places and whatever. And so I told the band, we're going on tour. It's going to be insane. Little did I know, the Warped Tour is it's heavy. It's like all the
for Rams,
bands.
Motocross, punk bands.
And the music is like intense and insane. But that year specifically, it was like Social D, Mighty Boss Tones, Sick of It All, Limp Bizkit, Pennywise. It was heavy. And I didn't realize how heavy it was. And I didn't realize that there's fans. This obviously now I know this, but like there's fans that are going to come from every city that just love that music. It's not like you're going to play San Diego and then you're going to go to LA and you're going to get Allman Brothers fans or something to come to the. So it was like, our first gig. This is our first show ever. We show up and like we're the only ones in bell bottoms, and I'm like, what? And I remember I hear this stuff like Jim Lindbergh and these guys tell me shit. They're like, "Oh, we saw you when you first showed up." And we're like, "Who the fuck are these guys?" Like, because we were like in the wrong place at the wrong time for like 2 months, and so we showed up to this first gig and played in San Diego. And everybody there was like watching us, and they're like, "Fuck you! You wasted 30 minutes of my life." And I was just like, first time we ever got booed, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like, and I got the guys together, and I said, "Hey guys, when we get to San Diego, when we leave San Diego, we get to LA, it'll be better. Like LA, they're gonna like us more. They love that kind of music up there." So we get there. And I look out there, it looks like all the same people. And
just
I'm like,
bald heads, freaking tattoos on their face.
I was like, holy shit. And then, and so like we did it again. And once again, bottles, people throwing shit and like, "We hate you." Look, because we would come on after like Sick of It All and we'd start doing like guitar harmonies and shit. And people would be like, "What the fuck?" It's like Pennywise doing the Horde Festival.
No, I was going to say, you could flip the role on all those guys so easily with some of your other festivals in a second.
Yeah. So these guys, but what was cool, and we were in an RV. And so like by our 5th gig, I guess like behind the scenes, there was like some side bets going on. Like, how many shows more do you think that they're going to make? And so everybody had like $300 on like Washington.
He's talking about like Pennywise, all the bands were like watching them suffer.
They were coming around because we had that RV. They thought for sure it's going to break down. Like they're not going to make it 5 gigs in. Fucking, they had side bets. And so they started to come around and watch us. And I'd see like around the corner, like Mike Ness, like these guys were watching us clear out like 3,000 people out of a fucking grassy knoll because we were so horrible of the music we were playing for them. And I remember Kevin Lyman at the end of the tour, we did the entire tour. We made it. We went to Canada. We went everywhere.
Footage of this.
This is unbelievable. There's some footage somewhere. And a couple nights, I think, like the guy from the Mighty Boss Tones, he sat in and he sang fucking Marshall Tucker. He sang Can't You See? Like they started coming around and it was like, and we were partying with these guys and it was fucking wild. And finished the tour and then Lyman came up. He's like, "Well, the tour's done." And I said, "Well, it was thanks for the tour." He's like, "I was thinking, we're going to, would you like to go to Australia and New Zealand? We're going there." And I was like, "Is this guy fucking kidding? He's going to bring us to fucking." So we went down there.
You did go?
And then I told the guys, "Hey, it's Australia, New Zealand. They're going to love us. They're going to love that type of music." Sure enough, first gig, they were like, "Fuck you, mate." Yay. Like fucking throwing shit. And once again, and we just got used to it. And it was just like fucking the whole tour. And, it was like I still have friendships from all those band guys that like were a part of that like thing, like Pennywise guys and shit. It was just,
and it's cool now. Like earlier today, not to drop names or whatever, but John Theodore, drummer from Queen of Stone Age, just called me, and I go, "Yeah, I'm doing a podcast with Donavon Frankenreiter," and he goes, "Dude, I've always wanted to jam with that guy," and we're talking about one of the heaviest drummers of all time, and he's like, "That's how far you've come though in your own music career. It's pretty rad." I mean, you had the ultimate, almost famous moment where it's like, "Boo, get out of here!" And now you have sold out venues that are all there to see. It's just,
it was fun to be a part of because I grew up, we both did like listening. I love that music so much too. And it was cool. Like was ever that close to it in the sense of like watching that happen. And I remember like this was when like Limp Bizkit was like breaking through, and it was incredible watching these bands break through and like just explode and become so huge from that
Tell
tour.
the story about where you would have to, your van was so shitty that they would play first, like early, and then they would.
We would open the show up at like 12:30. The gates would open, everybody'd rush to the stage, and then we'd start, and then they'd all leave. And, they'd go to the other stage or something. But it was so crazy. If we had a long drive, like if it was a 10-hour drive, we had to get in the RV and leave at 3. And like fucking, so we'd be driving, and
they would pass you guys.
So like at 3 a.m, we'd like tons of tour buses and semis, and then by the time we pulled in, they were all backed in, stages set up, and then we'd get in at like 11, back in, and we'd play again. So those nights that we had long drives, it was fucking just horrendous. The one of the funny stories is I thought I would decorate the inside of the RV, and I'm like, I'm gonna get vinyl records and fucking screw them to the ceiling. So I screwed them all to the ceiling. We got to Florida, and it started raining, and the whole ceiling was like, oh my god! And everybody in the band's like, you fucking idiot! You screwed it. I never thought it would leak, but it was like, fuck, it was just horrible. And then the rest of the tour, everything was fucking soggy and wet and mildewy, and oh my god.
That is so fucking great.
Warped Tour.
Oh man, that would have been the ultimate documentary of all time. Sunchild on the Warped Tour.
Oh man.
That's so funny. Annie, do you have anything over there in your notes you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So one is like going back to the Drive Thru, especially like this last one where you got to have Hendrix on and everything. Yep. Is because I've heard a little bit of talk about potentially passing the torch to a couple of the guys. Like it was a low-key like tryout to see who might be the next generation of Drive Thru.
Yeah.
Is that something you would want to pass on to Hendrix?
I would if he really wants to do it. It was interesting. I was going to tell you, like when we did the last one, and I remember I told Greg Browning this at the end. I got kind of like, it was like maybe a 5. I don't know when the last time we did one before that, but it was
10 years.
It was like 10 years. So we got older, and I kind of forgot how, we did it. And I got around like Griffin and all these guys, and I was like, those guys are so fucking surf stoked that they didn't want to do anything but surf. And so like me and Benji would be like, oh, we're going to go bowling. And they'd be like, what are you fucking talking? We're bowling. The waves are good. And like, so like, but the drive-thrus are all about doing shit. And so, and getting people uncomfortable and like, trying to get to the next spot. And I remember when I got home from that whole tour, I thought, fuck, like we should have. There were so many other things that we should have done, but we surfed 10 times in the same spot in fucking New Smyrna. It was like we should have went like, on a fucking one of those like airboats and fucking, this and gator
I
thing.
think
and like,
though, we've never talked to him since. I'm assuming they've all watched it. I know Parker has. And now they probably see what it really is now. And they're like, oh, dude, that bowling segment is all time. And oh my God, the skiing with the fucking,
I forgot
this SUP thing was the funniest part of the whole movie. It was broke too. Like everything about
everybody can relate to like everyday life shit. But when you go surf, it's like that only kind of like relates
1% can do those errors.
Yeah, I don't even know what those guys are doing. They're so crazy. But it was like, but it would be easy if you find the right guys to pass the torch to the people that want to do it. But Benji and I have been talking about, and I think it'd be so fun to like take the guys that are like, get 5 skateboarders and like drive through skateboard. And
the snowboard crew always
thought,
talk
like,
to me
drive
about
through like for a band, like everything but the music, like get people. What is it like from going from one gig to another? And then like maybe pro snowboard. And then I was like thinking, because Benji knows a lot of pro golfers. I'm like, dude, if we got 4 golfers, like, what is it like to be on the PGA Tour? Like,
maybe the under PGA Tour where they have to drive and it's sketchy and it's not good, and then they don't make it. They make zero money and they're struggling. But because the pro golfer guys, like, you wouldn't want to see their life. Adam Scott's like 2 jets, like
on the lift tour. They're just fucking
no, I mean, no, that's.
But the drive through would be great. I mean, and I think it'd be fun for us to do another one. I mean, we're trying to find maybe a home for it,
No. Let's talk serious. I really think the women's drive-through is the future. I mean, for the next one, I just think there's more, and I'm going to say more characters, but there's some really good characters in the girl world, and their dynamic of complaining and doing different things. And obviously, we were talking about if we did that, me and Donnie could produce it and go as like a funny driver guy, and then like we come in at little bits and here and there, and people are like, oh no, they're here, you know what I mean? And just to kind of, and I think steering them in the direction, it was really important to have you on that one. You're literally driving the RV and telling us what we're going to do. Without that, the girls would probably be like, I guess we should just chill today. And you're like, no chilling.
They would go nuts because it'd be like the Real Housewives of the WSL. It'd be like,
I know there's some loose girls too. Like, I mean, Laura Enover and all those girls who'd probably have such good rapport because they've known each other. Like, It'd be fun.
I think it goes for anybody that, and that's why people relate to the drive-thru. You get 5 people in an RV, shit's gonna happen, and like somebody's not gonna want to pull over and go to that restaurant, or somebody's not. Everybody's on a different like sort of thing, and if you're in search of waves, and I don't know, it's an interesting, and it was a little kind of comfort level was pretty good because we're in California.
Yeah,
and a lot of the guys were from there, but like when you fly somewhere else and you're like in Western Australia, or you're in Japan, or they don't have any choice but to be like, what are we doing? I don't even know where I am. But
being uncomfortable really makes for good TV too.
Yeah.
If it's too cherry, it's not fun to watch.
No. So it's fun. We got to do another one for sure.
Yeah, no matter what. Before your kids are too old to be in it.
No, they got time. I mean, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to do another one too and bring Aki and get some of the old crew back.
Aki was one of the funniest guys that we ever had because he's only been on like the tour for like 100 years, and he's like, surf trip. Oh, okay. And then like we had to like convince him that this was okay. We were freezing. New Zealand was the coldest place we've ever been in our lives. And remember, he had to get a new wetsuit, and he was just it was fun to see him and Andy because they were both the same. Like, we have to surf that shit. Yeah. Like, this is freezing. Why would we? Andy was the funniest. And that one day Dorian's like, hey, we're going out. And he's like, why?
Yeah.
And he was like mad. We were all getting in our suits, and he's like, what are you doing? He was like, why are we doing this?
He got the police guy over, and he's like, told you
they're telling a shark.
He said there's a shark out in the water. We shouldn't fucking go out. Like, it was like, we still went out. Pat's like, we're going out.
I know, we were so stupid. But yeah, that was fun. And you know who would have been, I feel that, like, if Todd Chesser was still alive, and there was always these guys that I thought, the coolest thing was having Dan Reynolds, because I always wanted him on there. And he's so perfect for a drive-thru because he's so cynical, and
he's funny.
It's funny, man.
I remember the one time, and you really laughed at this too, but because I never really, it was funny. I hung out with Dane, like, man, he must have been 13 years old and went on an Indo trip, and I'm like, God damn,
I remember that trip you went on.
It was crazy. And
he was Kamalei there too.
And he was like charging, and I'm like, fuck, this kid's gonna be good. And then I literally didn't see him
for 20 years.
We would pass each other, but we never hung. And like, on the drive-thru, you're always like, yeah, okay, wait for me, my brother. Like, we were in Santa Cruz, and Dane was running out. I go, hey, Dane, wait for me, man. And he's all, why? He's like, like,
that
he was just
is
like,
one of the best parts of the whole thing.
Like, well, you go yourself. And I'm like, no, it's like
no, but he caught it. He goes like this. He goes, why? And then he goes, because I don't know where to go. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like realized, like, oh shit.
So Dane, though, to just be like,
I know.
Just get down there yourself. It's
just
funny.
jump off the rock. Fuck.
And it was cool hanging with him, and I never really hung with Griff like that.
No, for sure.
It was cool. It's neat being around people that are on such a another level when it comes to surf talent.
And then also, to answer your question earlier, I would say Parker is like officially a drive-thru member for life.
Yeah.
And to build from that, I know Griff right now is so locked in with the tour, it'd be almost impossible to get him on the next one. And then Geiselman was great too. But I just think focusing on Parker had it, he knew it, and just like he said, he grew up watching them, and he knew, like, so when he would fall asleep on the grass head first, and like all the things he did was kind of like a little bit of me and a little bit of Donnie, and he had the right, I guess, gift to do it. And it would just be fun to try to find 3 other guys to take over. And like you said, maybe it's Hendrix. Yeah. I mean, Hendrix has got the music skills. He's freaking rips.
Fun.
So
it'd be fun to do one in Indo. I think it'd be really cool.
I always wanted to do drive-thru Indo, even though it'd be boat through.
Many good servers in Indo. It's like crazy.
And yeah, we'd finally get footage, like real footage, where you didn't have to worry about it. You'd almost have too much footage of into Endo. Like one session would be like 4 hours. But yeah, dude. I mean, what's the deal with your clothing sponsor? Did it ever go through?
I started Petra and I started our own thing. This is like one of our jackets, one of our shirts, because she has a boutique.
Yeah, hers is cool. It's Honolulu. So we
started a Frankenreiter collection, and it's like maybe 6 pieces. And so
what's it called? 808 Garage?
The Barn.
The Barn.
Yeah, and it's like, it's right there in Honolulu. It's really fun. It's around so many other awesome, cool. It's like a really cool little community in Honolulu. It's beautiful. Ryan Hackman has an art gallery there called Honolulu, and Coral and Moku have a Ohana shop, and there's like Daisy and Amayan have the Shave Ice, Slow Yourself Down. It's like a cool crew of people. Titus's Quicksilver store, and like it's just neat. It's
a cool that's a
vibe
community right there.
It's really fun.
Right now, we had Tony Hawk on last time, and he had so many businesses that he was involved in that he didn't even know.
One that I'm doing with him is called Holy Grail. It's
with Tony?
Yeah, it's taro.
There you go.
It's the donuts that they make
out of taro.
Yeah, is
it amazing?
Unbelievable. They make them fresh to order, but there's that, and I'm doing Humble Brands. It's called Humble Deodorant, and they do a bunch of other
Oh,
things,
dude,
and it's all
thank
natural.
you.
But that's a really
Thank
funny
you.
one. That's a
Tell
funny
me.
one. So like,
This is a good
we
story.
came up with a scent, for Humble. We've been doing it for like 5 years, and it's really going well. And I got a DM one time from Jason Momoa, and I thought this is fraudulent for sure. You know, when some people break through and they send you something like, but it said, hey Donovan, call me. I got to talk to you about something. And I was just like, fuck, did I do something wrong? Like, I'm not, this guy gonna punch me in the face? Like this, there's no way he's calling me to talk about anything but like, what the fuck? You know, like I was, and so I had and he left me his cell phone number. And I'm like, well, it's definitely,
you're not
fake.
dropping your number
No way
if you're
this
him.
guy, if he wants to get a hold of me, he'll fucking get somebody else to call me and say, hey, call this guy.
You're right.
I didn't know what to do. So and I'm looking at it, and I even talked to Petra. She's like, just call the number. And I'm like, what if it like sounds like him and it's not him? And I go, okay, like, you know what? At least I got the number. So I'm like, okay. So I had this idea. So I texted Kala and I said, hey, is this really Jason Momoa's cell phone? I was like, who can I ask?
Right.
And
Kala's a good
Kala was
call.
like, yep, that's his phone number. Call him. And I was like, holy shit. So this must be him. And so I was like, okay, where is he in the world? And he was like in London filming like fucking some movie. And so I go, okay, at least I knew where he was. And so I ended up calling him. I go, hey, it's Donovan. He's like, how's it going? And I was like, and I'm like, this isn't him. So I thought it wasn't. But it ended up like, even when I got off the phone, I was like, fuck, was that him or am I getting scammed? Because I still didn't believe it. And then we talked again and I'm like, holy shit, it really is him. But he was calling because he was like, I thought I was in trouble, but he's like, hey, I got to talk to you about this deodorant. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you know that scent you came out with? He's like, it's my favorite scent. I wear it all the time. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Is it patchouli?
It's
tea tree?
No, it's
What is it?
frankincense, and it's
I gotta try that stuff.
What is it? The other God, I should know my own scent. Fucking, but it's Humble, and it's just anyway. He loves the scent, and he called me. He said, hey, I want to be a part of this, and I'm like. And he's like, but and it's so cool what he did. And he's actually now integrating. I think he's going to be a part of Humble, where like he's going to get, and he's creating his own scent, his own thing. He's going to be part owner of the company. From what I understand, that's all happening. But he's like, the only way I'm going to be a part of your company is if you go 100% plastic free. And I was like, fuck. So I talked to the other guy, and we all got on the phone. And now to this day, I think by the time, I don't know if the deal's done, but it might be done by like, I don't know, sometime this year, but for sure by next year, Humble will be 100% plastic free because of him. Like we never really, it's not like he didn't think about it, but like our deodorant now comes in a
wooden,
like
I'm not wooden, cardboard one. Yeah.
And so like everything that he mentioned and brought up was like so cool because everything he aligns himself with has to be 100% plastic free. So it was so cool.
As your spokesman, that's pretty
dope.
dope.
It was like really rad. So I think it's all coming together where he's going to come up with his own scent, his own really cool box. And I mean, I hope it does because he's such an amazing guy. Yeah.
He's the scariest, nicest guy in the world. All my friends like Magdalena's, all them hang with him all the time, say he's the sweetest guy on the planet.
Yeah, he's trying to save the world, man. It's cool.
Yeah, and then Humble is, can we buy it?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's
I want to.
It's all the stores.
What do you call it? Frankenstein?
It's
Scent Frank?
No, it's Palo Santo, frankincense, and
Love Palo Santo.
It's something. It's the 2 cents, but it's great. It's like and there's only 5 ingredients in it. I know people are like, I've tried that natural shit. It sucks. Like I always just like give it to people and say, call me if you like it, and give me some more, like it's just really, it works really well.
I'll be honest, Donnie, I've known you forever. I never knew your biggest moneymaker was going to be scents. Because this asshole used to rub patchouli oil on me. And I don't know if you know what patchouli oil is, but if it touches you, it's a month. It's a month. You can scrub it and you're like, it's still there.
Oh my gosh.
So for you to be the scent master, if you will, and have Jason Momoa saying, I love the smell from you is just...
They did a great job doing it though, but it was cool. Yeah,
that's freaking the best story ever. I just love the DM. Like he must DM people, and he's on that level where everyone's like, "It ain't him."
No,
he does it to Tom Cruise. Cruise is like,
I even called the guy at Humble. I go, "Hey, did you talk to him?" He's like, "Yeah." I go, "Okay, cool, really." Because even like days later, I'm like, "Fuck!" But he never asked for anything. Or like, "Give me your credit card number." I'm stuck in Costa Rica. I need some money. So he didn't ask for anything, but like I was still not convinced. But like
that's so
it ended
funny.
up being him. It was cool.
I know. What's the greatest night of music of your life? I always see on your Instagram you're with like Neil Young and you're with all these big bands and stuff. But Willie, you've played with Willie probably.
Just Lucas. Like, and I've seen Willie play. I've never played with Willie. I've never played on stage with him.
Didn't you tour
I've
with
seen him play,
Neil Young? No, one year.
No, we've done shows
Just shows
together, like festivals. I've never toured. I never.
You
really,
got to jam with him.
No, I never played on stage with him.
No, but you've been in the same rooms
like played,
and met him and all that.
You know,
stuff.
Ben Harper was a good run that we had, and we toured, and I got to jam with him and his band, and then obviously Jack. It was like so cool touring with him, and you know, we played some of the biggest places ever. Like I remember sitting with him at I think it was Austin City Limits. There had to have been like 40,000 people there. And he's like, looked over, he's like, how's this? And I was just like, holy shit. You know, it's like, it's bizarre. So it's like so fun to sit in with people and play. And who else has there been? Like, there's actually a lady who's playing on Sunday. Her name's Mavis Staples. Mm-hmm. And she was in the Staple Singers, and she was around when Bob Dylan was around. And if anybody's watched like The Last Waltz, it's a really historic film that Scorsese made on a group called The Band. And it was like, you know, the song like, take a load off Annie, take a load for free. You know, like they did that song, and it became really famous when Mavis Staples did it with them in that movie. And she's always been like such an idol of mine, just such a great singer. And I remember I had to do this like radio show, and it was in Colorado, and you'd show up with nothing. There was a band already there that learned your shit. And they're like, well, you're going to play with somebody. We don't know who it is, but there's a band there that knows your stuff. So you're not bringing your band, and they're going to play a song, ask you questions, play a song, and you're in front of like a lot of people. And it's like this well-known thing. And I got there, I had no idea what was going on. And I go, who are we playing with tonight? And they're like, Mavis Staples. And I'm like, what the fuck? I couldn't even believe it. And then I met her backstage, and we talked. And
she played your music?
She played hers.
And then
I played mine. And then we did that song, The Wait, together.
Wow.
And I got to sing Pop Staples' part. And I was just like,
unbelievable.
That was just like a big highlight, like playing with her and just how insane she is on stage, and just beautiful voice.
That's in Austin, or
that was in Colorado. I forget the name of the radio station, but it was really a neat experience. But you know, like we did tours with Xavier Rudd, and we played. We did a tour in Brazil with Slightly Stupid, and
how many people were at that?
Mule, like Warren Haynes, you know, and then we did the Allman Brothers like family revival, and there was like 10 special guests on that. And I remember sitting there every night watching them. Just I couldn't even believe I even like was able to talk to these guys. They were so inspiring and so good. This guy Eric Gales, he's a guitar player, singer guy that is so fucking good on the guitar. It's like crazy. But
how many people were at the Pennywise concert where we sang Broham?
Oh my god!
I mean, I always tell people 40,000 because it was a Metallica concert.
You know, it was like Social Distortion.
Yeah.
It was Pennywise.
Marilyn Mason. Was it Marilyn Manson?
Well, no,
the other one.
Pennywise.
9 Inch Nails played, remember?
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails, Metallica, Social D, and Pennywise.
Yeah. And so Pennywise was in the mix of the middle of those guys, and it was crazy. Like, we got up there, and there was...
40,000 people, and we're
like,
all, yeah!
However many people they can fit in the infield of where they
Daytona
do the
Raceway.
Daytona 500. Yeah.
It was like 40. I showed the picture, and you could just see people for miles and miles. But the funny thing is when you're on those stages, I don't think about the people out there. And maybe that's why I'm born to maybe be weird, is I don't get the same feeling where, and later I look back, I'm like, whoa, there's so many people. I don't remember looking out there.
It's kind of weird.
We even didn't know why people came up and started mobbing us after we came up. We had these silly tracksuits on, and people were like, oh my God. And we're like, how did they, what? Oh, we were just on that stage.
Yeah.
Like that's when,
it's
when
funny
you know
when you're on a big
like,
stage like that and so far away from the people.
Yeah, that's
it's almost
what it was.
less intense. But you're on
that's
a big stage,
right.
but it's almost like scarier when you're at somewhere like the Belly Up because they're right
Right there.
there, and you can hear them go, "You suck." You know what I mean? Like or something, or like, "Oh, that was
do you ever lock eyes when you're playing and go, "Oh shit"?
Yeah, I try. You know, I don't know. I mean, I sometimes look out there, but then sometimes the lights are blinding. But sometimes if I, like, it's always funny. Like, I forget who it was who told me this, but it made so much sense. It might have been like John Oates or something. Like, you always talk about music and stuff, and I always wondered. Like my worst shows, and then I have great shows. Why that happens, and it's like, and it happens like, and maybe it'll happen for comedy when you're doing stand up. But like, John Oates told me it might have been him. I forget who it was, but he's like, dude, if you're ever playing music and you think, you're gonna sink. Like you can't fucking think. So if I go and I look at somebody, or I engage, or I'm like with them, or I start thinking like, whoa, what's the next line I'm supposed to sing? Like, holy shit, I don't remember the lyrics. Like if I start thinking like that. Gig's over. Worst gig of my life because I'm thinking about every word and note I'm going to play next. It's the fucking worst. Yeah. So it's like that thing. Like if you think you sink, it's those gigs where you.
I know when you're not sinking is when your mustache moves like this, and he gets in these things, and he'll black out on stage, and he's just
no. But it's fun to just get lost in the music and like be a part of like what's happening in the room. Like I don't know. We played laid laid back, mellow stuff. I don't really like, I'm not like, this one's for you and like sing to that person. Like it'd be awkward, you know, like it's like, you just kind of like, we're just playing and I don't know. I try to never really think about it because it gets music. It's like, it's such a nerve wracking thing. It's like, you know, there's so many millions of more people out there that sing better than me, that play guitar better than me. You can't let it get in your head or you'll be like, the fuck am I even doing up here? You know, like, so you got to just like, just do it, you know, just have fun and just fucking.
And you've had reps. You've had so many.
Yeah. That's why I kind of like playing every night too. Cause it's like we haven't played in, I don't know, it's been a couple months cause I did like 6 months in a row. Towards the end of the pandemic, I said yes to everything that came through. And I'm like, well, half that shit's going to get canceled. And it never did. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It was like I left for a long time. And then, but when you're off the road for a little bit, you get kind of like, we have to play Sunday. And I'm like, I don't know, I get nervous until you get back on the bike and you go, you know, then you're like, oh, cool, we're back. But
what songs are you guys got playing on Sunday? Is it his music, your music?
It's just me and my buddy Matt. We're just doing acoustics, and it's in Jim's Speakeasy.
But it's your album.
Yeah, we're playing our own music. Like we have 10 records, and so we pick like 3 songs off every album. We're only playing for an hour, so.
What's the new album called?
Well, it's interesting. The last one I put out was like 5 years ago called The Heart, and then I put out a little thing I did with G Love and Cisco Adler. That was called Jamtown. That was
Was that the one with that crazy video you sent me with the faces? Did you ever see that one? Or maybe that's just G Love. I'll show it to you after this.
Oh, that was
remember that? It was like a funky one. Yeah, it was really good.
It was cool. And then somebody told me, oh, it's not about records anymore. It's about singles. And so I've had like 8 singles come out. And then I did a thing during the pandemic called Love Letter from Hawaii, which was like an acoustic thing. And since I've been living in Hawaii, I've done a couple of these revisited records where I go back and I re-record an album, but I do it all Hawaiian style. Like I did it with a lap steel, slat key guitar, ukulele, stand-up bass. So I've done those, but I'm working on a new album right now that I'm going to finish by the end of the year. And then,
is that what my opening song is from the new album? Right?
No, so that opening song is coming out on an EP called Rollers, and it's me and Devin Allman. It's a thing I did with Devin.
Okay, so are you guys be playing that on your tour for 58, 50,
yeah,
50?
For sure. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do the Let's Poddy.
Yeah, you're gonna start like.
That'd be funny if I'm all, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, and the band's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh shit, it's not the.
No, the best is gonna be by the 50th one. You're all over it.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's insane that you're pulling that off. I hope you don't lose that 20 grand, and I see you in the.
Well, it's kind of fun just for the attempt. You know what I mean? Like we'll see what happens. But
that book, it's like you go down to the thing. It's like.
Well, the last gig that we do is at Beach Life on.
No way, it's ending there.
Beach Life Ranch on the day that Jack's playing and the Bahamas.
Oh, it's coming up in 3 months.
Yeah,
or whatever that is.
Like,
yeah, 3 months.
We leave. Yeah, so we leave. August 5th and September 22nd is that Friday. So if we were there,
I'm going.
We're either going to be like champagne, or you're going to be like, hey, good try. And we're just cross-eyed and the fucking bit, you know, like.
I mean, yeah, like if one of you gets sick, I mean, there's so many things.
I guess the stipulation is that me and Devin have to be on stage every night, no matter what. If somebody else bails, great, because that's like a thing where if we can't get there and Devin and I can grab acoustics and fly,
like a drive-through, like where you have to leave us.
It'll still happen. Yeah, it'll still happen. But if we. It'll just get really a bummer if we get stuck in Alaska or get stuck in Hawaii and we can't fly out and we miss. Because if we miss like day 48, I mean, I don't know. Like,
can you do 2 in one night? Could that be possible?
Well, we are the very first day. That's how we're doing 49 shows. We're doing 50 shows in 49 days. So we're landing and we're doing a gig in
Washington.
It's like on the East Coast because the states are so close.
Rhode Island.
We're doing one at like 1 in the afternoon and then one that night at 8.
Killer.
So it's like a
So Rhode Island and then right there,
something like that.
Massachusetts.
So we do 2 shows in 2 different states on the first day, and then we just blast off the next 49 days.
You have to do North, South Dakota, like
everywhere.
Oh my God.
And that's why like on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights are a little strange because like you can't really go play the heart of Texas in one of the main cities. It's like you got to play in the corner so you can blast back up to Colorado.
Right.
So you're playing like some fucking, you know, like. But it's okay, you know. You got to like.
Do you already have it mapped out? You guys already know.
Yeah, the tours are. It's all up right now. It's DevinandDonovan.com.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up later.
It's all everywhere, all the day, and we're having like amazing bands open up for like the first week, the second week. Like it's gonna be really great acts, and it'll be fun. And I've never, you know, it'll be the first time that Devin and I ever like do a whole show together, and like he's bringing his drummer, I'm bringing my bass player, and. It's going to be just, we're mashing it up, you know, like his songs, my songs, it'll be fun.
What other things you got on there besides Drive Thru? You have another question before we end?
Yeah, I've got another one. So this was the first one, so Benji and I have talked a bunch about like how much you're on tour, which is just insane to me, and like the long legs of time that you go without being home. the main thing that popped into my head is like, how do you manage like your relationship with your family and your wife and like keep that healthy?
It's interesting. It's like, Petra, she's my best friend and like my rock in this whole thing. And so when I met her, it was towards the end of that cover band that I was in. And I remember coming home from a gig, just complaining to her going, I can't do it anymore. Like playing covers was driving me nuts. Like I felt like I was just spinning my wheels, And she's like, why don't you just fucking write me a song and sing? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try my own solo thing. But I never really sang, never did anything. So she was there since the very beginning. She was there when the record deal got signed and I made my first record and she was in the studio. And then she toured with me for, I don't know, the first 15, 18 years. But once the kids kind of go to Australia twice or 4 times or, they don't really want to do America again. It's not, it's kind of like, it's not, it's a lot of work, like just being on a tour bus and just going night after night after night. But so they come whenever they want, but that's like the biggest struggle. And I think it's real interesting because even when I toured with even with Jack and like with Dave Matthews or anybody you talk to who's a musician that has a wife and kids, fuck, it's not easy, And I guess that has to do with like anything you do in life. I'm sure there's struggles that the golfers go through, like they leave for long periods of time, I mean, I don't know, like they're working a lot, but being on the road for months at a time, it's really difficult.
I mean, to be honest, he had such limited time with his fiance. It wasn't even a fiance yet. We were in St. Bart's in the Caribbean. Can I tell the story? It's okay.
It was so cool.
I mean, this is an amazing story. It's one of those ones. It's not funny.
She wasn't even my fiance. She wasn't even my fiance yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is how it became. That we're on a surf trip, filming a surf movie. We're actually filming the surf movie
for Billabong.
With Shane Dorian, Ross Williams, Parco. I mean, Rasta, I think, was there. They were all there. And it's the most beautiful island in the world. It's called St. Bart's. It's a French island. And we're all there. And Donnie's like, hey, I'm going to propose to her on this trip. And we're like, what? And me and Parco were the kind of groms on the trip. And he's like, hey, I need you to go down. Here's $1,000. I don't even know how much money it was, or you already paid him or something. Can you get the ring from this guy, Julio? Or I don't even remember. He's down the harbor. We're like, yeah. We had little scooters around this island. And we told Petra, we're at dinner, and we're like, Petra, we got to leave. Me and Parco have to go do some stuff. We fly to his hotel. He had a hotel room. We all stayed on a boat, but that night,
I got one that night. Yeah.
That night. And it was like so expensive there. And he goes, hey, will you go into the hotel room and put roses everywhere and put her name and whatever? I can't remember what we did. But we're these 2 little idiots on a thing. And then we get there, we get the ring. And I remember putting it in my pocket like, fuck, better not lose this motherfucker. I was like, oh my God, I got this ring, man. This is crazy. And then so we get in this most beautiful harbor you've ever been in your life. It's Puff Daddy mega yachts, and it's gorgeous, right? And we have dinghies to take us out to our boats to go to sleep. And we're already buzzed. We all went to like a beautiful dinner and everything like that. So Donnie's like, we're all going to get in the dinghy, but there wasn't much room in it. So we kind of faked it. And there's a piano bar. So say there's a harbor. In the middle of it is a piano bar. And our boat's out here. And so he goes like this. We had it all planned out. And he always has a guitar. So it wasn't weird that he had a guitar. He has a guitar in the boat. And she gets on. We like lower her down in the boat. I hand the ring to Donnie like this. And he goes, all right, oh, you know what? There's not much room. We'll just go this one with the driver, and we'll meet you guys out there. We're like, yeah, you guys go ahead. Meanwhile, right when they start driving away, she thinks they're going to the boat. We run to the other side of the harbor. We run all the way to the piano bar. We get to the piano bar, and he's in the middle. We can see him out. It's dark, but you can see him. And he sings her a song he wrote to her, which...
the first song I ever wrote.
Oh, it's the first song ever.
On my mind, yeah. It's
on your mind.
It's on the first record.
Yeah. So he proposes to her, and they're driving in. She's bawling, crying, and we're looking at him going, yes.
Well, you guys were like, what did she say? I'm like 100 yards away. I'm like, yes. The whole fucking...
It was so cool. And then he pulls up, like a chicken skin again. And we pull up. We walk into the piano bar. She has no idea this is happening. We walk in the piano bar. He sits there for freaking... And it felt like 3 or 4 hours, but it might have been an hour. And we kind of took over this bar, and Donnie's playing the song that he wrote about her on piano. And I was just watching it. This is the coolest part about this story. Shane Dorian, a no bullshit guy, like no bullshit at all. He's not impressed by anything. And he goes, straight from that trip, we fly to LAX. His girlfriend at the time, really good friends with us, Lisa, she goes to meet him at a hotel in LAX. Sorry if I'm telling this story and you don't want people to know.
I never heard this story.
You didn't know this story?
Oh.
So Shane lands in LA. Oh, Shane, I hope I get this story right, but I've heard it so many times, and I've been talking about it so long because it really is. That story and that story are the ones that make me feel good inside. It was just a random hotel like the Hilton or Hyatt at the LAX. She hasn't seen him in a while. They're so excited to see each other. He puts rose petals down the hallway to their room, and they go, and she's like, "What the hell is this?" And he goes, they walk down. I hope I got this right, Shano. And then he opens the door, and all the roses are on the bed. Same thing. And he drops to his knee and proposes to her. You didn't know that story about Shano? He proposed to her right after you did, because it was like, even I didn't even have a girlfriend. I was like, I want to do what he just did.
That was cool. You and Parco, like, and they overdid it with the flowers. It was like there were flowers everywhere. And it was really wild too. It was crazy. It was a strange thing. I met her on a blind date, and it was so wild. Like I met her, and I never met her dad when I proposed to her.
Is he cool?
Yeah, he's so awesome. But it was like, I think, if I get the story right, I swear to God, we met 2 months later. She was living with me. By the third month, I asked her, we went on that trip together, and I said, will you marry me? She said yes. And then 3 months later, we were married. And that was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
It was fucking
unbelievable.
22 years ago.
And I mean, when we're always on these trips, he always has his cell phone, and he doesn't do this. He's never put a phone to his ear. He does this. Hey, yeah, and he always yells in it. And I've always respected that. The way he talks to his wife always made me feel like a jerk, because I've never loved anything like how he loves his wife. He's always just like, love you, honey, come up, I love you, and then they always do it, and it's been going on since they've been together, and they're just the coolest couple.
It was so funny
ever.
at the time we got together too, because I talked to people, and it was during that time when like cell phones were out for a while, but like I think when she got pregnant is when I really got a cell phone for reals. Like she's like, you've got to get a phone in case I go into labor, and I'm like, okay. And so we've always had the same cell phones, and then when we got married, we always had the same bank account together. And then she was the first one when I was on a trip. She's like, you're not going to believe it. Go to a fucking, go to an internet cafe and send me a message. I'm like, what the fuck's an internet cafe? She's like, we're on the World Wide Web. I got us an email address. I'm like, what the fuck's that? And so we're on, our email is still on AOL, but it's together. It's ours. It's so weird. And people are like, dude, there's other places.
Is AOL still a thing?
That's what I mean. I'm like, why is there? And I tell people, why there's other email things? Like, I don't even know what fucking any of that other shit is. So everything, it was like, it's been really fun. Like, we still have all the same.
And that's how you guys communicate mostly? If it's not cell phones, you guys email each other and stuff?
No, not anymore.
Not
now it's like fucking...
It's FaceTime.
Or come with me and like, let's go and travel. And the kids, they were a part of it too. They were a part of all the touring. And
I mean, they picked up a lot of stuff. I mean, did you know that Hendrix was this good at music when we were on the Drive Thru? I mean, you weren't even that impressed because he just does it.
It's been really just one of those things where I just want them to experience everything, both the kids experience everything that they can, and, learn from their failures and just kind of gravitate towards something that hopefully they love,
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the goal, I think, in life. I always tell the kids, like, you want to wake up every day and fuck, just be happy, whatever that means that you have to go do or whatever you do. And obviously, like, certain things you fall in love with that you want to do comes with a lot of sacrifice, and they understand that. But, I don't know if things will change, but there was a moment where Hendrix was like, Dad, I don't think I can do what you do. Like, I don't know if I could leave for months at a time and be away from my girlfriend and like live on the road with a suitcase. But, I think as people get into shit, maybe it will change and he'll want to do that. But there's also
Different
a
roads.
million ways to make a living in music. Just recording it and putting it out. And like, I don't know, things are always changing.
No, right. Like his genre, I mean, his generation now, he can just do YouTube videos and stuff.
I know. That's like a whole different thing. So it's interesting. Like things are always changing and stuff, but we've always been just...
Traveling wheelbarrows.
Yeah, we've been living out of suitcases, and we're just so used to it. We don't care where we're going or what we're doing. It's like we just want to get there. And
it's so funny. I tell people like they're like, yeah, you're this or you're that. I go, the only thing I'm really good at is traveling. I go, it's the weirdest thing because I'm not responsible. I'm not on it. I'm not anything. But when it comes to traveling, nail it every time.
Yeah, we're just so used to it.
Yeah, so used to it. Yeah, Donnie, let's end this thing and we'll get it wrapped up. And it's 2:15. Well, I'm gonna go check.
This was really fun. This is I got to tell you too. This is my very first podcast I've ever done.
Is it really?
Yeah, let's podcast.
We did it before for a second.
Yeah, but that was
not a podcast.
That was like when that was.
We just talk about Drive Thru.
Yeah.
You don't know what a podcast was yet.
No, that was no. I've been listening to Joe.
Yeah,
I've been listening to Joe Rogan.
That's when we got the.
I love podcasts. They're cool.
Let's Poddy.
The theme song.
Try to do it now that you're all warmed up.
Play the song.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Is that what I said?
That's right. You go,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
And I say,
And then you're all, welcome to
the
Let's Poddy
here we go.
Podcast.
Shh, quiet on the set. Here we go.
That's what he says.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Poddy.
With Benji Weathers.
I can't do it. I don't know why.
That's why it makes that.
What a bummer.
No, but it's good because we got it perfect the first time. So we're just not allowed
You know
to
what
do
it is?
things twice.
Thinking.
Yeah, don't
If
think.
you ask me in the middle of like walking at a beach life, I'll nail it. But I can't fucking do it on the spot.
I love it.
God damn it.
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
well, D, thanks so much. I can't wait to spend the night with you and not.
Dude, we just did Let's Potty, bro.
I know, and it's a good one.